Welcome back to Close Up. The Mowers campaign believes it has a solid lead in this first congressional district primary race. Conservative challenger Karoline Leavitt would beg to differ. The former Trump White House press secretary has positioned herself to the right of Mowers, and on substance and style, she believes she's where the base of the Republican Party is in 2022. We sat down with Leavitt at the New Hampshire Institute of Politics on the campus of St. Anselm College. Matt Mowers was the Republican choice for this job the last time. While you are close in some polls, he is the front runner in every one of those polls. So what is the case that you make to conservative and Republican voters in this primary that they should make a change for the nomination in 2022?
Well, I am proud to be the homegrown America First candidate in this race. I got into this more than a year ago, and I have been outworking my opponent, Matt Mowers, every single day. And that's why recent polling suggests that this is a dead heat race with 3 weeks to go, because my team and I have been putting in the work to reach out to every single voter on the ground that we possibly can. We've raised more money from the people of New Hampshire than Matt Mowers or any candidate in this Republican primary by far. Look, Matt Mowers moved to our state for political power. He was a longtime political operative for Chris Christie, who is the leader of the Never Trump movement, and he came here to run for Congress. I was born and raised in this state. My family owns businesses here. I went to our public school system. I'm an alumna, as you mentioned, of St. Anselm College. I care deeply about New Hampshire, and we have a far left Democrat representative right now in Chris Pappas, who is voting with Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden 100% of the time. Matt Mowers already proved to us that he cannot beat Chris Pappas in the November general election. I can. We are going to win this race on the 13th, and I will continue to be an unapologetic America First voice for the people of this district. Matt Mowers is bought and paid for by the establishment in D.C. They are pumping money into his bank account right now. I am funded and supported by the people of this district, and that's who I'll be beholden to in Congress when I get down there.
You've also been critical of Mr. Mowers for his previous work under Dr. Deborah Birx, although that happened before she came to the White House and started advising then President Trump on the COVID-19 pandemic. Is there a one-to-one connection there? I mean, it seems like you're just as it might be like a guilt by association kind of thing.
It's not. Matt Mowers was the chief of staff to Dr. Deborah Birx. He called her a national treasure. He called her a hero. CNN lauded Matt Mowers for his role in getting Dr. Birx the job as the COVID-19 task force coordinator. She recently admitted in her book that in that role, she was manipulating data and lying to the President of the United States that forced all of us into lockdown, shut down our businesses, forced our children to be out of school for more than a year. I've gone to school board meetings with parents in this district. That is completely egregious. Our children are not learning at the academic standards that they should because of deep state doctors and bureaucrats like Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci. Matt Mowers worked for these people. I think that speaks to his judgment and his character. And when we take back the House this year, we need strong elected officials who are going to hold these people accountable, bring them to the stand, investigate them, question them, and frankly hold them accountable for the damage that they caused across this country. Do you think Matt Mowers, as the former chief of staff and friend to Dr. Birx, is going to be willing to take her to task and hold she and Dr. Fauci accountable? I don't think so.
The Inflation Reduction Act, we know you would have opposed it if you were in Congress, but is there any individual policy within that package that you could get behind? Say, for instance, negotiating the price of prescription drugs under Medicare?
Well, let's talk about the bill in its entirety first. The Democrats called this the Inflation Reduction Act because they think that we're stupid. They think that we believe that spending billions more dollars is going to reduce inflation. You could talk to a fifth grader and they would tell you that's not the case. We are spending way more money than we can afford. I'm one of the only candidates in this race to say unequivocally I wouldn't have voted for that package. I wouldn't have voted for the $40 billion in slush funds that we sent over to Ukraine a few months ago. We are in this position because of not only Democrats, but also weak Republicans who are not careful about the money that we are spending, who are not advocating for true fiscal conservatism. We have to get back to that, and I am a proud fiscal conservative, and I will fight to stop the spending in Washington, D.C. The Inflation Reduction Act, every piece of it and part of it is a complete mess. Specifically, the 87,000 IRS agents that are employed through this bill, they are going to come after hardworking people like my family, small business owners in this state who are just trying to make a living and pay their employees and make a paycheck at the end of the week. The Democrats are targeting us to steal more of our money to pay for their socialist spending sprees. This is a complete disaster that Chris Pappas has supported 100% of the time, and enough is enough. And we cannot afford to elect a weak Republican to replace him who will go along with these spending packages when Republicans are advocating for them as well.
Republican majority in 2023, let's say you are representing the 1st Congressional District. You're pro-life. If a fetal heartbeat bill comes to the floor of the Congress, essentially banning abortion at 6 weeks, would you be voting yes?
I am pro-life. However, I believe in the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I believe in our Supreme Court, and I believe in our United States Constitution that makes it very clear that this issue should be left to the will of the people. We have more of a say on the issue of abortion as Granite Staters. We can elect pro-life legislatures to our state house in Concord to pass tangible legislation in our state. We just did it in the recent budget with the 6-month ban. I think that's a great first step for our state. I personally would like to see it taken a little bit further, but that should be left to our state legislatures in Concord, not our federal representatives down in Washington, D.C. Let's just talk about the Democrats on the issue of abortion, because we know they are going to make this the focal point of this campaign moving into the November election, and we need the best Republican possible who can go toe-to-toe on a debate stage with Chris Pappas and message this issue. The Democrats used to be the party of safe, legal, and rare abortions. They are now the party of abortion anywhere, anytime, paid for by the taxpayers. That is completely radical. That's not where most people in this state align. And so I will always speak for life, and I will ensure that our legislatures in Concord are taking tangible action. But I do believe it's an issue that belongs with the people, not bureaucrats in D.C.
How can you say you're pro-life and then not vote pro-life in Congress?
I am personally pro-life, but as a congresswoman, it is my utmost responsibility to abide by the Constitution and to ensure that the federal government is not infringing on the rights of our constituents here in any way, shape, or form possible. It's my ultimate role and job and responsibility to ensure that the federal government stays out of our lives, in our economy, in our education system, in our election system. We've seen more so than ever with COVID-19. When you give bureaucrats and representatives in Washington an inch, they'll take a mile on any issue, whether it's our Second Amendment rights, whether it's our election system. Chris Pappas supporting H.R. 1, a federal steal of our elections. I'm all for state and local control, and I believe in federalism.
You said that you don't believe President Joe Biden was legitimately elected in 2020. Is it safe to say then if you lose this primary, you're just going to say, oh, that was voter fraud too?
Well, we'll see what happens in 3 weeks. What I do know is I am working incredibly hard, and I will support the Republican nominee in this race because I do believe that Chris Pappas has to be fired. He is voting 100% of the time with the far-left Democrat caucus down in Washington, D.C. He is supporting the Biden-Pappas-Pelosi agenda that is driving our country into socialism.
Let's say, again, there's a Republican majority in Congress in 2023. Who are you voting for Speaker of the House?
Well, let me tell you this. The establishment in Washington, D.C. right now is funding and supporting and backing my establishment handpick opponent, Matt Mowers. They're funneling thousands of dollars into his campaign account. They want him to win this race because they know that he will be a rubber stamp for the Republican Party. That's not what we need. We have a rubber stamp for the Democrat Party right now in Chris Pappas. We deserve a truly independent and unapologetic voice for New Hampshire. And it goes back to the original reason why I'm running for this seat. I am the homegrown conservative in this race. It's a two-horse race at this point. You have the establishment's hand-picked Matt Mowers, who's going to vote for whoever they tell him to for Speaker of the House. And then you have myself, the homegrown conservatives who is funded and backed by the people of this state. I am only beholden to them. I'm focused on winning this race. We don't even know who's running for Speaker of the House. When I get down there, I will make the best decision based on how I feel my constituents here in New Hampshire feel.
Your words earlier in the race on Real America's Voice, quote, I'm going to vote for Kevin McCarthy, and quite frankly, I think Republicans need to join together on that. What changed?
Well, Kevin McCarthy is supporting and funding the campaign of my opponent, Matt Mowers. And Kevin McCarthy is probably going to be the next Speaker of the House. We don't know who's running against him. Again, this is an issue that I am not worried about right now.
You have some Republicans calling for the dismantling of the FBI over the raid at Mar-a-Lago, former President Trump's residence, ostensibly to recover classified documents. Do you agree is it time to dismantle the FBI over this search warrant?
We need to hold the upper echelon of the FBI, the bureaucrats who have been there for far too long, accountable for their blatant corruption. They started the witch hunt against President Trump the day that he beat Hillary Clinton in 2016. They've been labeling parents as domestic terrorists. This entire Department of Justice and the FBI needs to be held accountable, and all of the corrupt actors who are leaning into their political preferences and holding the American people accountable for who they voted for president absolutely need to be held accountable themselves. So we must take back the House within a strong America First majority who will bring bad actors like James Comey and like all of these other folks who have been political hit jobs over the last few years to the stand, investigate them, litigate them, and if we need to, incarcerate them as well.
Karoline Leavitt, thanks for joining us on Close Up.
Thank you.